Hey y'all, it's Hope at Crafty Hope, and welcome to my ICAD number 51 for 2021. So, let's see, where do we want to start? ICAD means index card a day. If you're just catching up, I've got a whole playlist of the other ones. I don't have 51 of them because some of them were kind of ugly, and I want y'all to have to watch me struggle through that. But I do have a playlist of all the ones I am sharing. Now, like I said, it means index card a day, and it is a challenge from Tammy of Daisy Yellow, and she's been doing this for like 11 years. It runs each June and July, and she offers up some themes and some prompts, and you can use those for inspiration, or you can just say, whatever, I'm gonna just decorate an index card, and that's fine too. I am taking my time sharing these. As I said, this runs June and July, and it is now probably October, I think is it October 1st? Yeah, I think it may be October 1st. Happy October, y'all. Um, anyway, the prompts today, I'm also using prompts from not Tammy, from Nina Fickett, is offering up mixed media ICAD prompts. So the two prompts for that today were blur and candy. I'm not using the candy prompt from Nina. Instead, I am using the blur prompt from Tammy. And this is how I'm using it. I have got this cheap pen from the Dollar Tree, and I know it will bleed and blur if it gets wet. So I just wrote out some messy, messy words, and I'm using a wet paintbrush to make it blur. Ta-da, prompt done. Now, what I like about the prompts is it does give you kind of a launching pad, so you can kind of get over that hump of creating, and whether that prompt, your contribution for that prompt shows or not, it kind of gets you moving. I also use collage as a way to start these cards because yeah, that really gets me over that blank page fear. So I did that collage with my Oohoo glue stick. I did my little blur, and now I'm throwing down some, y'all, these are really old acrylic paints. That first one was an Anita's acrylic in Hawaii, and this other one is probably about 100 years old. It's an Americana paint. I don't know what the original color was because I have added, I think, some white paint to it and made my own color because it was getting low and chunky and I didn't want to waste it. And yeah, so it's a pink. And then I've got a little bit of white I'm adding in there. I think that was actually some gesso. And then I'm just going to blot that up a little bit. I, I don't know what my thought process was here. I was just playing, and it's gonna work out in the end. Otherwise, I wouldn't be showing this to y'all. It would be too ugly to show. So I've got that going. I'm gonna go ahead and try this, and then I've got that is a Dynaflo ink, and I think the color is turquoise. Now I'll have links to products below on Amazon. The Dynaflo inks come in a set. I bought these at an Al's 5 and Dime, if y'all remember those. But I bought it forever ago before I even knew what I was going to do with it, before I'd ever worked with the inks before. So I've had these a while, and it's good to use some of that stuff sometimes. So I'm just letting that ink kind of flow and move around, and I'm blotting it up. I'm going to use my finger to, I don't know, kind of blur out maybe. I'm using the blur to blur out some of the parts that I don't like. Yep, and then I'm going to probably dry this again because, yeah, I've got so many layers to this and I dry between all of them. Now I've decided to add a little bit of tape, first some masking tape, and then I'll add a little bit of, I think it's some Tim Holtz, and what does he call it? It's like a washi tape, but I think he calls it like decor tape or design tape, or I don't know, y'all. And I won't have a link to that because I don't know which one this is. I've taken them all out of the rolls and dumped them in a big container, and I don't know. I will say that his stuff tends to be kind of shiny on the top and less papery, even though it is paper. So stuff doesn't really kind of like painting over it and all that. It kind of pools and doesn't stick to it. So I've taken my Stabilo All Pencil here and I'm going to wet it, and it's going to kind of, it'll go nicely into the masking tape there, but just kind of pool on the top of that decor tape. So it's kind of neat. So again, I'm gonna just kind of get that going and then dry it again. Yeah. So there, and I'm going to dry it here. And then I'm going to decide that this card feels a little dull and blah and needs a pop of something. So how about some neon yellow? This is Reflex Yellow from Amsterdam. It's one of their acrylic inks. And I'm just using the tiniest bit to give a pop of bright to this card. And I use my fan brush to just make a little splatter. And again, I'm going to dry this. Yep. Y'all, that's the thing about using all of these acrylic products is sometimes they can get super muddy super easy. So drying between things really helps to make sure you get to keep your colors. So I've decided to add this little bit of, it's just some fabric with a stenciled, designed stenciled, I think some gesso over the top of it. And then I've got this wonky bit that I created in the Willow Wanders Wonky Bits class. I'll have a link to that class below. It's kind of fun. And those wonky bits come in handy so much. I think actually was it my last video or is it my next video also has a wonky bit in it? I don't remember. I know that I've got a couple of them all bunched together here. So I'm going to layer this fabric and this wonky bit together just using my Oohoo glue stick. That fabric's fairly thin and I was probably fairly impatient, so I didn't even bother to go get the gel medium out. So I'm going to stick those down, and then the next thing I'm going to pull out is it's some copy paper that I've printed out. I used the Numbers program, which is like Excel on my computer, and printed out a bunch of words with a black background. I've had these words in a file for like, oh y'all, 15 years maybe. What year is it right now? So okay, at least 10 years. Probably 12. A long time. And they're just fun words that are great for art journaling and stuff like that. And I used them before for, I think, pendants. I printed out a bunch of them to put in some soldered pendants. But anyway, I'm going to use it on this ICAD today. And I'm just gluing that down and then taking my StazOn to frame up the card. Now, while I've got the StazOn out, what I'm going to do is grab some texture stamps. I think the stamp I'm using is from Bo Bunny, and it kind of looks like bubble wrap. And what's great about the StazOn is it does go on top of those shiny Tim Holtz tape pieces really nicely. So it worked really well. And the stamp helped add a little bit more texture to this background that was feeling really flat. So that just elevated this. I don't know. And I elevated maybe a bit of a stretch, but it really helped that background give a little something. And it was feeling dark too, so I'm going to add some Sharpie white paint pen on here. And then once that's done, I'm done with this card, y'all. I just threw a little bit of everything at it, played, and it felt awesome. If you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to ask me below. Make sure you're following, because when I get to 2,000 subscribers, I'm going to have a giveaway. And thanks for watching, y'all. Keep on crafting on. Bye.